Last time in the Menagerie of Mayhem, the wheel gave us chaos, luxury resorts for lizards, and the cutest frogs with food names, and somehow it all worked. We survived 50 years, 28 species, and $3 million redos. But now, my friends, the wheel demands more. From buffalo cuddle puddles to tigers with cherry blossom spas, this zoo has grown into something that I could have never predicted, and trust me, I didn't. Because the wheel's the one calling the shots, and I'm just here to overbuild everything and pop the occasional balloons when guests get stuck. Whether you've been here since the first ostrich touched grass, which is probably what I should do, or you're brand new and you're wondering why the heck I gave otters a creek with a waterfall that they don't even like, welcome. Grab a snack, hold on to your sanity, and join me as we dive into year 51 through 75 of letting this wheel control my life. I'm Panda. Now let's go spin that wheel. And year 51 kicks off with the giant anteater, the majestic, snuffly vacuum of the animal kingdom. And our building themes for this habitat will be rustic and South America. So I rolled up my sleeves and I'm going to try not to overbuild this one, but no promises. Step 1, as always, I'll be making a custom fence that is high enough to keep our anteaters in, and another second layer that'll keep our guests' grubby little hands out. Step 2, a cozy covered house with no windows. Don't worry, I will leave these little guys in peace. Then comes my favorite editing magic trick, the habitat glow up. First it's barren, and then it's got beautiful majestic rocks, and then a touch of foliage, until it is actually looking like something a professional zoo might approve of. Oddly enough, Planet Zoo decided that anteaters don't deserve an ant hill as enrichment. I don't know, but I added everything else that I possibly could have. Finally, I found 2 long-nosed lads on the trade center and got their health checks and moved them right on in. I immediately proved that they couldn't escape, which is the bare minimum we ask for around here. A little education, a sign over their hidey hole, and voila! 25 more years of chaos begins with a snout that won't quit. Now, giant anteaters are a vulnerable species because of deforestation that threatens their natural habitat, which is just horribly sad when you think about it. So I added this deforestation education diorama that I got off the workshop from this creator here. Thank you so much, it is so beautiful. Hopefully the guests will stop by and read up on the harmful effects that deforestation has been having on several species of animals. But enough about that sad drivel, let's look at our cute little fluffy anteaters. Did you know that giant anteaters are toothless? And that long sticky tongue that they use to gather up termites and ants is up to 2 feet long? They could flick it in and out 150 times per minute. That's insane to me. Just look at their little baby. They also walk on their knuckles with their front feet. And they may be slow moving, but if necessary, they can gallop up to 30 miles an hour. I mean, I could never do that. So, guess who escaped? Yes, my koala. Again. At this point, I think they're less cute marsupials and more like tiny Australian Houdinis. I swear these little fluff balls have some kind of secret society dedicated to making me just look bad. I followed one around as he just casually strolled through the zoo like he owned the place, guests laughing, kids pointing, everyone having the time of their life. Meanwhile, I'm panicking because all it takes is for one runaway to make the whole zoo look like... Yep, and there's the fine from the inspector. Great! Just great. I watched him waddle his fuzzy butt straight out of the habitat like he was clocking out of his 9 to 5. He even climbed the fence that leads back into his own habitat, and then decided, nah, I like freedom better. And then, I swear this was a glitch, he ended up dangling upside down off the fence like he was some kind of koala bat. Just clinging there, defying gravity, while the guests were losing their absolute minds. They're wondering if this is part of the show. Mommy, is that koala broken? Maybe. Or maybe he just needs a cape and he's Bat Koala now. I think even the game engine gave up on trying to calculate koala physics. At this point, I'm convinced he's just mocking me. So yeah, year 52 wasn't about new builds or conservation facts, it was about survival. Mine. And fun fact, koalas sleep 20 hours a day. The other 4 dedicated entirely to prison breaks. See? I don't know if that's true, I just made that last part up. The wheel has spoken. It is a binturong time, or as some people call them, the bear cat. Even though they're not bears, and they're they're definitely not cats. For their home, the Build Wheel gods blessed me with the themes Europe and Planet Zoo. Don't ask me what Planet Zoo theme it's supposed to be. I don't know. I think it's just like they throw in everything else that didn't have a proper home for a theme, and that's it. The Planet Zoo theme. Did you know that binturongs have a superpower? Yep, and their actual superpower is smelling like popcorn. I'm not joking. If you ever walked into a movie theater lobby and thought, buttery goodness, that could also just be a binturong. I think it's their urine that makes them smell that way though, so that might not be a good thing. I'm building this chunky mesh fence so they can't climb out. I'm also going to slap down a second guest fence because apparently my visitors like to lose fingers. Unfortunately, since these pieces wanted to snap together, I had to edit and place each one individually. Usually you can just hit Ctrl-D to duplicate your fence, and that'll give you free range to use Ctrl-Z to rotate it at the same plane that you're on. But oh well, sometimes you have to do things the hard way. I used the terrain tool to raise up a bit of the midsection that I wanted to use here to add trees to. I gave them a simple but effective hideout for them to seek cover in when it rains. Of course, I did my signature HDTV glow-up edit, where we start with a barren land, and then we go in with our wonderful rock work, and then foliage for a lovely glow-up. And yes, I placed them near the deforestation display since sadly binturongs are another species getting hammered by habitat loss. So I made sure to give them plenty of trees, nothing but the best for my little bear cats. After placing them in their new home, the game tried to tell me that these guys could escape through this totally normal corner in their habitat. I have no idea how, unless they were planning to phase shift through the mesh like some kind of Marvel supervillain. My solution was just to copy and paste the mesh part of the fence and just shove it into the earth and pretend it's not there. And look, there we go. Problem solved. 2 popcorn bear cats moved in, not going anywhere, unlike my koala. I added the usual education and signage, and we wrap up with a flyover shot with them living their best little forest floor lives. Meanwhile, I'm sure the guests are wondering why it smells like an AMC concession over here. But yeah, simple and cute, and it works for our little bear cats, and I love it. Binturong. I keep wanting to call them binturang, but they're not the avatar. Year 53, no prison breaks, no glitches, just weird animals that smell like snacks. What's your favorite snack at the movies? I don't really go to the movies. It's so expensive. And the money I spend to go see a movie in theaters, I could just buy the movie when it comes out, you know? I did take the boys to see the Minecraft movie though. That was kind of cute. Next up, the Californian sea lion. And listen, this wasn't my choice. My kid rolled the wheel this time, and the moment he saw sea lion, his eyes lit up, and he demanded the biggest pool ever. So of course, I became his construction worker on command. No theme rolls for this one. Tiny human gets priority. And if he says epic pool, we're building an epic pool. So first off, I'm going to use the glass barrier to shape this massive tank to hold the water. Way bigger than it needs to be, but do I care? No, my kid's happy. Therefore, I am happy. After that, I raised the terrain behind it for the backstage area. Then I plastered everything. The walls, the floor, the backstage area, the guests area. If it could be plastered, I plastered it. It took forever, but it actually turned out smoother than I expected. Thank the gods for the grid. Then came the indoor kind of section where I intended to add a food stall, maybe a water stall, and an info booth and some bathrooms. As I was working on the roof, I decided I needed to go back and add some stuff to the inside before the roof was totally finished, because it would be a lot harder to add inside stuff with the roof actually on because of the camera angles with placing stuff. So it was time for some benches for the guests to sit down and some planters with some sneaky trash cans hidden inside. Of course, guest education so people can know what they're staring at when they're looking at these adorable blubbery acrobats. Outside, I used this education talk point seating shell made by this creator here, and this super cute talking point cover that was made by this creator on the workshop, so guests can learn more while the sea lions are doing their splashing. Finally, the stars of the show. 6 Californian sea lions, 2 males, 4 females were added, and they went immediately into their pool, just living their absolute best lives. And no, they can't escape, though given how big the tank is, they probably wouldn't want to anyways. Is it nearly 10 times larger than necessary? Absolutely. Do I care? Nope. My kid wanted epic, and epic is what he got. This build took me nearly 5 hours, the longest of my Planet Zoo career. But I learned so much, and in the end, totally worth it. Because when your kid grins at the sea lions diving around in their oversized luxury resorts, that's the real win. Did you know that baby sea lions actually sound like sheep? Yeah, the ocean gave us barking dogs in the water and tiny aquatic lambs. Nature seems pretty confused lose when it comes to these little guys. And also sea lions can get up to speeds of 25 miles an hour in the water, which means in a race, I would lose badly. On land too, probably. I did record what my kid thought of my finished pool, and I will be putting that in at the end of the video. He's a typical kid. Savage. But enough of that, let's go back to the wheel and see what we rolled next. The yellow anaconda. Oh, good. I need a break from crazy builds after that one. Not really much to say about this. It's just another one of my expanded exhibits that I placed behind the binturongs. I'm planning on posting the longer versions of my builds to show you how you can also achieve this look with both mods installed and without mods installed. You do not need mods to make expanded exhibits, I promise. So stay on the lookout for those. Yellow anacondas are not venomous. They are one of the largest snakes in the world, getting up to 15 feet long. Oh my jeebus, that is a long danger noodle. Yikes. Anyways, back to spin the wheel I go. The Egyptian fruit bat, a walkthrough exhibit species. And I've heard these guys print money just like butterflies do. Is that true? I've rolled East Asian and Twilight as the theme. And before anyone starts, no, I'm not sticking my guests in an enclosed space with flying teeth missiles. This isn't a haunted house, it's a zoo. Instead, I opted for something more realistic, more guest safe. And of course, I don't want Manager Googly-Eyed Bison on my case. I'm going to build a viewing house, and I have the perfect name for it. Now, hear me out. This will be the Tomb of the Fruit Eaters. I mean, obviously, right? Where guests can safely peek in at bats through a glass wall. I'm going to also cheat and add mesh towards the top of the glass. It's high enough to hear them fluttering around and the little noises that the bats make, but not low enough for anyone to stick their fingers in and find out if the fruit bats are secretly a little spicy. The structure itself includes everything it needs: a keeper hut, power, staff access, you know, the boring zoo stuff. And I added some trimming onto the glass to hide the glass seams because in Mom's Zoo we have standards. And I used some lovely custom workshop wall pieces to detail the back from this creator here. I added a dreamy night sky mural using the Billboard's background mod, I believe that's what it's called, to give it more of a gothic bat luxury vibe. And because I am incapable of doing anything halfway, I decided to make a black light fixture for the ceiling. I removed one of my roof panels, added a cage to protect the light from the bats landing on them. Then I painstakingly duplicated that setup across the whole ceiling. The bats have ambience now. You're welcome. Inside, I added a few benches for guests to take a shady break from the outside heat. I sprinkled in some foliage and some rocks without going full-on jungle. Still waiting for that enrichment research, because I'm not really sure where the enrichment items go in here. Thought the wall was looking a little bare, so I added some bats and pretended it was a mural on the wall. I slapped this education panel on the wall. Unfortunately, I lost the footage where I built the front sign, so you'll just have to use your imagination of me placing letters over and over and over again. I mean, you've seen me suffer through signage before. It was that again. Outside, I added some foliage for flair, and after what felt like an eternity of refreshing the trade center, I finally got enough bats to populate the habitat. We placed them in, and that's it. The Tomb of the Fruit Eaters is open to the public. And if you're thinking, wait, how does a walkthrough exhibit work without guests being able to walk through it? Well, the trick is, don't connect the path. That's it. Change the inside path to a null path to make it just completely disappear, and it functions just like a habitat. The bats are happy, the guests are safe, and nobody's being chased by airborne bananas with wings. 10 out of 10, Googly-Eyed Bison approved. After I made this, I did some research to see if there was indeed walkthrough exhibits for bats, and I did find one. There is one in the Paradise, which is in Belgium. They have an old crypt under an abbey that a colony of bats has taken over, and they allow guests to go down into the crypt and walk around with the bats fluttering overhead. That's pretty neat. I'm not sure what is more unnerving, the fact that there's bats flying over your head and people say they get pretty close to you, or that you're wandering around in an old crypt. Would you guys go to an old crypt and walk around with bats? Next up on the Wheel of Fate, the Western lowland gorilla! Yes! The second I saw this, I did yell, "Gorillas!" like I was in a 1999 Disney movie. You're welcome for that little taste of nostalgia. I also rolled rustic and South America for our building themes, which honestly feels a little on the nose, but I'm not mad about it. I need to expand the zoo anyways, so that way we can help deal with some of the front end traffic jam that is turning into a guest mosh pit. So we carved out a nice new plaza where our new big fuzzy monkey man friends will live. Or, apes. Excuse me. Or do you think that they prefer being called Saiyans? I'll have to ask them when they get here. Starting off, I work on building a custom barrier complete with some glass, some bamboo, and some ropes, so the guests can get a good look, but you know, no kids are going to be falling in this time. Now, I'm not naming any names, but I think we all know who I'm talking about. Then I sculpted the back with rocks to form a natural boundary and added a bit of terrain height variation. Nothing too fancy, because listen, terrain tools and I, we're in a rocky relationship, okay? But don't worry, we're in couples counseling, and I'm getting better at understanding them. Then it's the fan favorite makeover moment, the best transition in all of Planet Zoo YouTube history. Raw, boring terrain, then beautiful rocks, and then finally, jungle foliage explosion. To help fill in space, and because I was feeling fancy, I plopped in this amazing treehouse bridge from the workshop from this creator here, which I fully expect and demand my gorillas to use like a jungle runway. Spoiler, they never do. Dropped in some habitat items, covered up my water source, and plopped in a jet to make it look a little better. I already have plenty of enrichment items researched to go around this time. I think there was a community challenge a while back for like lemurs or something, and that's why I have all these. Because I've never had gorillas in franchise, so I know they are not researched. Anyone else wish that you could just reset research each time you open a franchise zoo? No? Just me? Okay. And of course, our googly eye bison manager is on site making sure everyone was doing their job. He's always watching, and he never blinks. Ever. After tossing those guys in there, I had to check to make sure that they could not escape, which they couldn't. Good job, me. Then I painted some new terrain textures around just to get them fully to 100% on their happiness. And we're not gonna talk about the size, okay? It's not about the size, it's about how you use it. To finish off the new plaza, I built a restaurant because, let's be real, restaurants are way better than food stalls every day of the week. No garbage, full stop. That's all you have to say. Sign me up. No garbage. This is going to be less intensive than the Hungry Hippo. An open bar and grill, if you would. I'm just going to use some grid pieces to cover the shell, but I don't want to cover up the cooks. I think it's kind of cool that you can see them. I'm going to add some support to this portion of the roof, and I think it turned out pretty good. We're going to name this the Gorilla Grill. I was going to call it the Grilla, but it doesn't sound right. So we're just going to call it the Gorilla Grill instead. Grilla. I don't know. Also, make sure you add a bathroom outside of your restaurant. Normally, guests have to go to the bathroom right after eating, so you know, it's nice to have one close by. It's basically science. So let's take a closer look at our hard work and our flyover, where you can see the guests can get a really close look at the gorillas thanks to the glass wall. And no, they're not one-way glass. Gorillas are not shy at all, don't worry. I can't wait to catch one of my new ape friends walking across this large treehouse bridge. Hopefully sooner rather than later. In the back, there's a few sleeping nests for them to cozy up into, and it's all near our new Gorilla Grill. Guests can now enjoy their nachos while watching gorillas forage, climb, and just cuddle up in their sleeping nests. It's the perfect combo of wildlife conservation and cheeseburger in hand. Now come on, this has to be a better restaurant animal than the hippos, right? Right? And it took no time at all for our gorillas to start, you know, making baby gorillas, because nothing boosts zoo appeal like adorable, chunky infants wobbling around like tiny muscle potatoes. Just look at this little guy. This cuteness should be illegal. He's adorable. Now, do I have a gorilla fact off the top of my head that I could just rattle off to you guys? Why, yes. Yes, I do. Thanks for asking. Did you know that the western lowland gorilla is actually the smallest subspecies of gorilla? I mean, they're still huge, and they're still capable of bench pressing nearly 1,000 pounds if they wanted to. But in the gorilla world, they're basically the compact model. Also, despite that intimidating strength, they're mostly herbivores, living on fruits, leaves, the occasional stick. And even though they look like they could star in a monster movie, they're incredibly shy and gentle by nature. Unless you mess with their babies, then good luck, son, you better run. It was at that moment, doing the boring management stuff and completely minding my own business, that I saw him. Our first albino. KO. Wait, KO? No. That is not a glorious enough name for someone so important. You shall forever be known as Ghost Noodle. There, that's better. With those piercing red eyes and milky scales, he looks less like a caiman and more like a mythical beast spawned from the moonlight. A Patronus. Like if a marshmallow had claws. Like if a vampire decided to cosplay as a reptile. He's beauty. He is grace. He's currently enjoying the VIP status, but I might put him in cryo storage for the upcoming black and white zoo that I'd like to do, where his noodle powers will truly shine. And we're back to the wheel, which this time spit out the saiga. You know, that wonderfully weird looking animal that kind of looks like a mix between a goat, an antelope, and my vacuum cleaner? And the building themes, North Africa and Zookeeper, which, let's be honest, aren't exactly serving a buffet of building pieces, but I like a challenge. And by challenge, I mean I'm going to mash together whatever doesn't look completely cursed and pretend it was intentional. So, of course, step one, as always, is our custom barrier. I mix some interesting bits together to keep our snuffly-nosed friends in place. Then I reuse our tried and true ostrich-era guest barrier because if it ain't broken and it keeps the toddlers from reaching through, don't fix it. Or something like that, right? Now it looks kind of sad, kind of empty, kind of like my willpower on a Monday morning. But you know what fixes everything around here? Rocks, baby! Better already. And now look at that. It looks like I actually know what I'm doing. Time to pan over to our favorite manager, the googly-eyed bison, who is watching the delivery of our brand new Saiga ladies, only females on the market today, which was a little sad because I'm here for the babies in the building, people. And yeah, I never did find a male Saiga. Pour one out for the dreams of Saiga babies, you guys. I placed their enrichment, dropped in one of the pre-built shelters because our theme pieces were lacking with this one, and smoothed out the terrain paint to better match their liking. I added some education boards so the guests can go, oh wow, what is that thing? And not just, mommy, why does that deer have a nose like a whoopee cushion? And speaking of guests, my kid walked in mid-build and asked, why is that camel missing its hump, Mom? I mean, valid. Sorry, Saiga, no disrespect. You're cute in your own snorkel Muppet kind of way. Now let's pause the chaos for some actual real-world knowledge, shall we? Did you know that Saiga's wibbly-wobbly cute little snoot isn't just for stealing the spotlight? Nope, it's functional and fashionable. The glorious nose works like a built-in air conditioning, filtering in dust and cooling the air before it hits their lungs, which helps them survive the scorching summers of Central Asia. Meanwhile, I could barely walk to the mailbox in July without completely melting. Oh, and get this, I found this interesting. By day 2 of life, a Saiga baby can already outrun a grown adult human. Excuse me? These guys are out here running 50 miles an hour and dodging predators? Evolution. Now you're just showing off, like. Next up from the wheel, the African crested porcupine. The theme pairing will be Australia and aquatic? I'm sure, why not? Those spiky land potatoes definitely scream deep sea decor, right? Anyways, I'm leaning heavier into the Australian side of things because these porcupines didn't pack their swim trunks. I promised myself I wouldn't make this habitat too big, for once, and I think I actually stuck to that. I started with a simple null barrier for the layout, just to check my size. Then I added a charming rustic log fence for the guests. No double fencing here. If the guests really want to risk a surprise acupuncture session, that is all on them. Then I started building their little shelter, a cozy house-looking structure with a mix of Aussie wood textures. I had planned on using the Australian roof too, but on a whim I tried recoloring the aquatic roof pieces and oh my gosh, it looks so good. Like unexpectedly perfect. Mental note, use this roof and recolor it more often for everything. Speaking of the aquatic DLC, it is a must-have, not for fish, because why would we have those in Planet Zoo, but for the colorable faux rocks alone. Top tier for your rock game. 100% Panda approved. Now when I go to place rocks, I didn't do the whole transformation montage or cutaway like usual. I was just in the zone. I was clicking rocks, rotating rocks, stacking rocks, swapping out rocks because they felt wrong. I like to use a combo of different sizes and different types to make the rock structure look look more natural. And of course, some of these deliciously colorable faux rocks from the aquatic DLC pack. We need more small rocks in this game. Can we start a petition or something? I didn't want to cover the habitat too much in foliage. Okay, yes, I did go a little wild with the buffalo grass, okay? I can't help myself. It's a problem. Don't judge me. Then came our prickly VIPs, a male and a female, adopted and placed it into the habitat. And then it was time to add enrichment items. Even though I have not researched them, I have quite a few things unlocked already. And there we have it, a simple, sweet little habitat for our African crested porcupines. Honestly, it's the kind of build that proves that you don't need to go full-on architect every time to create something that works. Sure, those insanely detailed mega habitats on Reddit are fun to look at, but let's be real, sometimes they're more anxiety-inducing than inspiring. This space is proof that even smaller, more laid-back builds can still feel unique and full of character. Not everything has to be over the top to be great. So if you've ever looked at your blank zoo and thought, I can't do all that crazy detailed stuff, don't worry, you don't have to. Let this be a reminder that sometimes keeping it simple can still spark a lot of creativity. And hey, if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. Next up on the Wheel of Chaos, the Okapi! Ooh, a solid pull. And the build themes? New World and South America. I mean, that fits pretty okay-ish, even though the Okapi is technically from Central Africa. But we'll just roll with it, it's fine. I decided to place them near the giant anteaters and the binturong since all three are sadly victims of deforestation in some form or another, and our conservation message will stay constant in this little corner of our zoo. So we're going to start with the barrier, and yes, I'm using one-way glass again, even though it's not exactly in theme, because these guys are super shy. And with over 6,000 guests barreling through the zoo each day, rip my PC, I want our stripy zebra-butted friends to feel safe. I carved out a quick little keeper access area for the staff so we can feed and research them without having to trek too far. Then I jumped into the beautification stage, and that means rocks. Of course, rocks. I know, but look, it's lovely. Oh, and I also added a cozy custom waterfall because why not? And then we hit it with some foliage. Oh, so beautiful. I love the way that the foliage just ties everything all together. Habitat items are in, things are looking good, and here come the stars of the show, the Okapi. Except they're less than impressed. Oops. Turns out I still didn't give them enough space. Oh no. The space meter was yellow. Yellow! Rude. So I pushed back some of the rock walls just a little bit. I did a little bit of tweaking, and now we're just in the green, just barely. But hey, they're happy, and now I'm happy. All I want is a trio anyways, a mom, dad, and a baby. So there you have it, a quiet, cozy, shy animal-approved habitat that anyone can build, simple and functional. Did you know that the Okapi wasn't even discovered by Western scientists until 1901? People literally did not believe that it was real until they could see it in person. Proof that the best animals are the ones who stay unbothered and mysterious. Can you imagine being the first person who spotted an Okapi in the wild? Trying to explain to people with no photo evidence. It's got the body of a horse, the legs of a zebra, the neck of a giraffe, but not too long, and the ears of a bunny? Everyone at the office just slowly scooting their chairs away while you insist, no guys, I swear, it's real. It's like half giraffe, half zebra, half deer, man, bear, pig. Alright, enough panda, it's time to be super cereal right now. The Okapi are settling in, probably still a little confused about their own identity, but comfortable nonetheless. With their hooves on the ground and their snacks within reach, it's time to once again let the wheel decide what we will be building next. And this time we rolled the dowel sheep, also known as the Ovis. Oh my gosh, my personal favorite of mine, especially when playing Ark Survival Ascended with my kids. For themes, we got Arctic and Indonesian. A little odd, but hey, we'll make it work. First things first, pathing. Oh boy, pathing in Planet Zoo is like arguing with a toddler. It's messy, irrational, and sometimes you just give up and walk away. But I wanted an elevated viewing area for the guests to look down into the habitat, especially since I was planning on some mountain climbing terrain along the back wall. This way, the guests and doll sheep will actually be on eye level when those fluffy goats go full mountain man mode. Next up was the custom fence. I decided to branch out from the themes a bit to use some mesh, and I combined it with a shop front wall to make this super simple, really clean looking fence. It wraps around the whole area except for where I'm going to be using rocks to seal things in. Then came a moment of panic. Was the path even high enough for the sheep to get under it? Oh my god. I dropped some sheep into the habitat, I held my breath, and... yes! Oh, just barely, but they fit. Crisis averted. I was this close to having a slight meltdown over the fact that I might have to redo the path. After that, I got to work on sculpting the mountain path that they would use to climb on the back wall. Doll sheep are native to places like Alaska, Canada. They're absolute pros at climbing super steep slopes to avoid predators. And while I don't have any plans of putting any predators in here, I still wanted them to feel at home. And many checks later, they can traverse the whole rock path with no issue, and I love that for them. Then came foliage and beautifying the outside of the habitat. I kept it pretty light on the inside. I didn't add too much. A couple trees, some logs, of course some grass. I also used plants around the outer path to fill in those kind of awkward empty spaces. A few ferns here and there, and it really does tie everything together. I added a roof over the guest path with proper support. We're pretending at realism over here, which also gave me the perfect spot to hang up some education boards. Guests can now learn while staying dry. I mean, they're still going to be quite cold, but you know, what can you do? And here's our finished doll sheep habitat. The rock path is simple, but it works beautifully, especially with enrichment items placed along to encourage the sheep to explore. They have plenty of room, some cozy sleeping areas tucked underneath the walkway, and all the education and guest views that you can want from a well-rounded enclosure. I'm very happy with the way this one turned out. It ticks all the boxes, and more importantly, I didn't lose my mind over the pathing. It's a win-win. And now, please enjoy a brief intermission. I like to call it the Club Club, the Alpine ASMR experience, brought to you by hooves, rock, and the soothing silence of sheep just doing their thing. Before I can even enjoy the bleating from our new baby doll sheep, the guests started whining again. Their happiness has dropped into the yellow, and shocker, it's about food and drink. Apparently, the literal zoo of animals isn't enough. They also want snackies. Fine. You want food? Let's build you a food court. Behind the sea lion pool seems like as good a place as any to throw together a full-on culinary capital. I carve out a huge, and I mean huge, plaza. I made space for 16 food and drink stalls. Yes, that's one of every single option in the game. If this doesn't shut them up, nothing will. And toilets. Yeah, we gotta have toilets on every corner because as science has taught us, what goes in must come out. You're welcome. Each stall gets the big traditional commercialized sign above them because I just don't have the patience or the willpower to make my own right now. I recolor everything to lovely purple because it is my favorite color, and honestly, I'm the one doing all the work here. I threw in some picnic benches so the guests can sit down and pretend they're at a fancy outdoor dining experience instead of, you know, the smelly zoo. Honestly, I'm here for the animals. These people, so whiny. But at least now they've got their snackies. Let's see how long that buys me before someone complains about the litter, or the price of soda, or that there aren't any lions in the zoo. Okay, we hear you. We'll go back to the wheel now. Next up on the wheel, we got the giant tiger land snail, another exhibit animal. And for themes, we got festival and classic. habitats. Nothing says festival and classic like galactically slow stripy slime nugget. This is another one of classic Panda expanded exhibit specials, so I plop it right outside the new food court so guests can admire nature's least urgent creature while digesting their overpriced fries. Honestly, not much to show with the build here, but I think it turned out pretty well. It's simple, it's clean, it's a little sticky. Did you know that giant tiger land snails can grow up to 7 inches long? That's about the length of a banana. I don't have a banana for scale, but just trust me on this. That is one big snail. Moving right along, we spin the wheel and land on the sand cats. Oh, tiny, cranky desert beans. I love them already. And the building themes, African and Twilight. Honestly, kind of perfect for these elusive little guys. Starting with the fence, once again, I know, I'm a one-trick pony. I get it. I'm diving straight into mesh barriers. Why? Because I don't really want these little cats to go full escape artist on me. I start mixing a few pieces until I land on a combo I like, which, by the way, takes forever. Custom fencing is 50% patience and 50% convincing myself that I made it look intentional. I'm gonna make a staff area in the back. It's gonna be simple and clean for them just to be able to enter the habitat. And I will make sure our zookeepers have everything they need back here. You know the drill by now. And here we have the habitat before rocks and after rocks. Just look at that. Instant upgrade. I keep telling you, rocks are your friends. Next up, foliage, plants, texture, color, depth, sprinkle in some buffalo grass and call it a day. Don't skimp on these two things. Rocks and plants. They make your habitat just look so much better. Now I know this is going to break theme just a little bit, but I'm going to add some climbable planks from the East Asian pack onto the fence to give the sand cat something fun to do and the guests a bit of a better view. At first I tried to add mesh to the planks to kind of make it like a safety net, but it didn't work, so I do eventually end up ditching the extra mesh. And turns out I didn't even need it, because the setup works great without it. And of course we're going to add our education boards and education talk points, and then I think I'm going to take a minute to pretty up the outside of the habitat, because listen, we've got the money, and we're going to spend it, because I can. While we wait for our tiny kitties to pass quarantine, I start dropping in the habitat items. A cozy burrow, which we will hide with rocks to make it like a little hidey hole, and some enrichment pieces, you know, the works. The sand cats have finally arrived and they seem more than happy with their new home, with plenty of space to roam, things to climb, and lots of places to nap. I've got to say, I really love how the fencing turned out here. The rock work too. It's simple, it's layered. If you ever struggle with rocks, here's the trick. Just keep sinking them into each other until it looks like nature did it on purpose. It works every time. Also, I realized that the roof I built here kind of looks like a pair of giant boots. Maybe we just won't talk about that. Anyways, that's our sandcat habitat done and dusted, and no one can escape. All is calm, all is peaceful, and we are waiting for our little one to give birth when... And not just once. No. That would be merciful. After I re-uploaded, it crashed again. And again. And again. 4 times in a row, each crashed cruelly timed right before my sandcat was about to give birth. I started to suspect her. Maybe she was the problem. So I did what any completely rational zookeeper would do. I put her in storage. No more crashes, right? Nope, the game kept crashing anyways. Turns out it wasn't her, just the beginning of my descent into a crash spiral. Alright, well, despite my game crashing harder than me on a hot summer day during a sugar crash, I picked myself up, I dusted off the autosave, and bravely returned to the wheel, which gifted us with the giant burrowing cockroach. Ugh, because clearly the game wanted to challenge me spiritually. And the themes, Indian and zookeeper. Not exactly rich and cohesive exhibit aesthetics, but hey, if anyone can make a roach regal, it's me. I took the new exhibit pretty close to our new food court because nothing says appetizing like massive subterranean bugs. Did you know the giant burrowing cockroach is also called the rhinoceros cockroach? And it is the heaviest cockroach in the world. It doesn't fly, oh thank God, and it doesn't bite, also good, and can live up to 10 years. Oh my. That's a long time for a little dirt goblin to be alive. I have dubias in my home for my bearded dragon, and that's enough roach for me. And just like that, we spin our final wheel of this segment, and we land on the mighty, the mysterious, the magnificent cougar. And the themes? African and New World. Bit of a confusing combo for a North American big cat, but hey, we'll go with it. I dive right into building. Well, recycling, actually. I really like the way the sand cat fence turned out, so I'm gonna bring it back for the bigger, beefier feline. In the back of the habitat, I spend a solid chunk of time sculpting out a rock wall with a cozy cave. I'm once again leaning into the sacred art of rock sinking and shoving boulders into each other like I'm playing tectonic god until they look natural and impressive. Then comes foliage. Sparse tree coverage, lots of buffalo grass, deserty but not empty, just enough greenery to keep things from looking like a giant sandbox. As the cougars chill in quarantine, I go ahead and toss in some enrichment items, some water, food, everything a stealthy apex predator could ask for. And right about then, it started to snow, because of course it did. Nothing says a welcome home like a sudden blizzard. I'm sure the cougars will be thrilled. Once the keepers delivered them, the game crashed again. Again, classic. I re-upload, I put them back in the pen, I cross my fingers, and hey, it seems to have worked. They're in, and they're gorgeous. Seriously majestic, these cats are. I finished up with education boards and a few keep quiet signs so guests don't stress them out too much. They're pretty shy. That's pretty much it. The flyover's a bit quicker this time, no extended glamour shots. I'm sorry, we were being gentle on the game engine because it just keeps crashing, but I still wanted to show off some of the highlights. The rocky den, all the buffalo grass, the subtle details that just really bring this habitat together. A strong finish to this chaotic batch of builds. And if the game could please just stop crashing for like one more hour, that would be lovely. And just when I thought we were done, out pops a baby cougar! Bright blue eyes, tiny little paws, and a nat 20 on his charisma. An instant star. He started wandering the enclosure with his adorable little baby swagger until he decided to investigate a fallen log and promptly got glitched stuck on it for a while. But don't worry, he eventually figured it out and resumed being the most painfully cute thing in this zoo. Oh my gosh, my cuddle aggression, it needs to calm down. I took a moment to check in on the analytics, and honestly, we're doing really well. We're turning a solid profit again. Guests are finally back in the green, where they belong, and our vets have nearly finished researching all the new animals that we've added lately. We just passed year 75, and the zoo is sitting comfortably at $4.3 million in the bank, which, yeah, it sounds like I should be riding high right about now, and I want to be. But here's the thing, the crashing has gotten so much worse. I don't know what changed. Just yesterday the game was running like a dream, and now it's crashing every 5 to 10 minutes. Mid-build, mid-edit, mid-adorable moment with a baby, and boom, it's just all gone. I've tried everything I could think of, and it's heartbreaking because I'm pouring everything I've got into this zoo. It just feels like the game is fighting me every step of the way. It's hard to keep momentum when you're constantly bracing yourself for the next crash. I don't know if we'll make it to year 100 if this keeps happening. I want to, I really want to, but at this point I'm starting to worry it might not be possible. Honestly, if worse comes to worse, we'll start over the 100-year zoo, but modless this time. We'll make it bigger and better, and something about lemons and lemonade. Here we are again, soaring above the madness, or should I say masterpiece? From humble beginnings, one ostrich, a random wheel spin, and the faint hope that guests may find a beetle rolling poo interesting, we've built something chaotic and wonderful. A zoo where the anteaters roam free, the porcupines are free to stab curious guests, and the sea lions, well, they live in a 5-star resort with better amenities than I have in my own home. Every path we've carved, every fence we painstakingly aligned, usually 3 times because snapping was off, it all brought us here. A tangled map of creativity, struggle, and an unhealthy relationship to buffalo grass. We faced weird challenges, koalas making breaks for it, albino caimans being too cute for their own good, guests complaining about food after being given an entire 16-stall food court, like spoiled toddlers at a buffet wanting nothing but chicken nuggies. We even experienced one of nature's greatest mysteries, the saiga, proof that the universe has a sense of humor and it likes to mix camels, vacuum cleaners, and anxiety. And yet, somehow, it works. Every time we rolled the wheel, we found a way to make the chaos into something meaningful, something majestic, something ridiculous, and sometimes something so cursed that the game couldn't even handle it and it crashed. We built sky bridges for gorillas, turned exhibit boxes into glowing blacklight bat caves, and found ourselves whispering sweet ASMR nothings to mountain sheeps walking over handcrafted handcrafted cliffs. This zoo is more than a sandbox of random animals and decorative bins. It's a celebration of why not? Why not put a snail next to the food court? Why not give Okapis a lovely waterfall? Why not name a caiman Ghost Noodle and give him the royal treatment? And by that I mean I stuck him in a box and threw him in the trade center. As we glide over each of these lovely cobbled together habitats, I'm reminded that beauty isn't about perfection. It's about intention and chaos. Okay, mostly chaos. So whether you're here for the builds, my silly antic, or just to see if the sand kitties crashed the game again, thank you. Truly, thank you for coming along on this absolutely unhinged ride. We'll be back, hopefully with fewer crashes, maybe with more babies, maybe a new project altogether, but definitely with more wheel spins. Yeah, I like the wheel. I think it's here to stay. But until then, enjoy the ride. Oh, and before we go, I wanted to share something a little special. After hours of building, tweaking, and testing, there was one little voice that mattered the most. So here is what my tiny co-creator had to say about the Californian feline habitat inspired by him.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh yeah, there's like little boats for them to play, little toys. Very basic.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Kids, man, am I right? I know who's getting coal in his stocking. Thank you so much for watching, friends. If we have to start a new project, your ideas are always greatly appreciated down in the comments below. Mod list, link to the wheel, they're all in the description box. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye! And by basic, you mean basically the coolest thing you've ever seen, right? Right?
Maybe. I mean, I guess it is kind of epic.